YouTube, how are you now? We got another Battlefield 2042 update going live tomorrow, 8 a.m. UTC, 12 a.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. Just gonna go through the patch notes and see what we got here. It's not as big as the last one, so it shouldn't take as long to get through, but let's go through it. Battlefield 2042 update 3.1. No pats. Last week we made update number 3 available to you, which included a large set of changes to improve your gameplay experience. We wanted to get those changes in your hands as soon as possible, and now we are following up with this week's update, as promised, filled with further fixes and balance changes. Update number 3.1 arrives on December 9th. Here is a short summary of key changes to expect. Improvements to bullet hit registration consistency. Balance changes for bullet dispersion and recoil. Further balance changes to ground vehicle 30mm, 40mm, and 57mm cannons to reduce their effectiveness against infantry. A fix for a rare bug where a player could appear invisible to enemies. Fixes for several bugs related to grenades and launchers. Improvements to the menu flow for Xbox players to make it easier to opt out of crossplay. Multiple audio improvements to enhance your overall sound experience, focused on clarity, distance, and directional perception. Update number 3.1 is our last game update before the start of the holidays. That means our teams will take a break towards the end of this month and return in the new year with fresh eyes, ready to go on the road to Season 1. We'll see you again in the new year, where we'll talk more on further changes and improvements you can expect for Battlefield 2042. The full update notes are available now. We'll keep you informed on the rollout of the update and what's next over on the Battlefield.com Twitter account. Here you can also follow along with our tracking of known issues and changes that we're able to make in real time. Happy holidays, the Battlefield team. So this looks like the last major update until next year. I'm sure they're going to have people available for any emergency stuff, so if this update breaks something, I'm sure they'll have some emergency staff ready for quick fixes, that kind of stuff, but this is probably the last major change until next year, so hopefully it's good. Let's see. Update 3.1, fixes, changes, and improvements. General. Players that are not the party leader can now cancel while waiting in a queue. Xbox crossplay can now be disabled in the options menu on Xbox. Your sort settings will now be correctly remembered when refreshing the Battlefield Portal server browser. Fixed an issue where loadouts would sometimes be empty on the spawn screen after joining a server, preventing weapon selection. Well, that's good to hear. That was a big issue my friends and I had when we tried to play together. No loadout every single game. And they would just have to back out and join back in on me because I was the only one who had a loadout. So that was really annoying. Good to see they fixed that. Made improvements to ensure aim assist is more consistent during console gameplay. Ranger's effective combat range and overall health has been decreased. I mean, the Ranger would shoot at people pretty far away, but it didn't really do anything, so I don't know how effective that was. I guess the health was a little high though. If you try to shoot it down with a gun, probably wouldn't be too successful, especially if you're getting shot by other people, so we'll see. I don't think the Ranger was all that effective to begin with, so probably just makes it less effective, but what can you do? Audio. Made various tweaks to the overall audio experience to improve clarity, distance, and directional perception. Fixed an issue where soldiers would not always play indoor specific footsteps. Huh. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's important to hear footsteps, especially indoors, where sound is probably more important instead of all kinds of stuff going on outside, explosions and everything. Weapons. Removed bounce from underbarrel grenades when firing at short distances. 40mm AP grenades now properly damage vehicles. Well, yeah, they're supposed to be anti-vehicle. grenades, so yeah. Fix some weapons displaying wrong ammo counts for specific magazines. Yeah, that was almost every gun actually in the what is that thing called? The plus menu when you're actually in your collections going through them. Set all kinds of weird numbers for the magazines. Made no sense at all. DXR-1 and NTW-50 bolt action rifles reload animation increased by 0.2 seconds. I think that was to just line up with the actual bolt cycling, because the DXR-1 there was a slight delay after you actually cycle the bolt before you could fire, so I think that was just an animation problem which they implemented in the last update, so update 3. Before that I don't think that was the case, but good to see they fixed that because that was throwing me off quite a bit. Adjusted dispersion values for most weapons, which results in a faster dispersion decrease when tap firing or doing short bursts, so that should make tap firing and bursting a lot more accurate. Adjusted dispersion increases for most weapons. It now takes slightly longer for weapons to become overly inaccurate in sustained fire. I didn't really notice that, but we'll see. Maybe on the LMGs, because the LMGs seem really inaccurate while you're trying to fire people down, especially at long range. Adjusted the recoil values to prevent over-aggressive recoil jumps for the AK-24, LCMG, PKP-BP, the other LMG, the SFAR-M, GL or SCAR, and PP-29. I didn't really notice huge jumps except on the PP-29 and the PKP. So the AK-24 and SCAR definitely had a good amount of recoil, but I didn't see like huge jumps. Whereas the PKP and the PP-29 definitely had jumps, especially after they increased the recoil on the PP-29. So we'll see. The AK-24 was pretty good before, so that might make it even better now. We will have to see. Improved hip fire accuracy for all SMGs to make them better stand out from the other automatic weapon archetypes. Yeah, I noticed the SMGs didn't have very good hip fire, especially the K30, which I've been using quite a bit. You would think within close range the hip fire would be pretty accurate, but I would be missing shots that I thought I should be hitting, so I would aim down sights even close to medium just to make sure I hit the shots. We'll see how that is. LMG dispersion and recoil lowered to improve performance in sustained fire. That's definitely going to help the LMGs because they were pretty inaccurate at longer ranges. So, I mean, the whole point of them is to lay down suppressive fire, usually at longer ranges, and sustained fire. So, if that's their role and they don't do that well, what's the point of using them, you know? Hopefully they are better. I mean, the LCMG was pretty good in close to medium range, so hopefully it should be better at longer ranges too. Additional improvements to recoil control for all weapons, more specifically automatic weapons. So easier recoil, I guess. That should be interesting because I mean most of the guns aren't hard to control the recoil to begin with. So we'll see if this makes them laser beams or not, or just slightly better. Increase close range damage and consistency of the MCS 880 shotgun when using buckshot shell or flechette shells? Flechetti? How do you say that? I don't know. Fixed the bug that caused bullets to be fired below the player's aims for the SFAR SCAR and the K30 Vector. Really? So the bullets would go lower than when you were aiming. That's interesting. I didn't really care for the SCAR. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I do like the K30, so we'll see. We'll see if that was like an all-the-time type thing or just a every now and then type thing. Vehicles. Fixed a bug where vehicle weapons sometimes did not deal blast damage on a direct hit. We're reducing the ground vehicle 30mm cannon effectiveness versus infantry. It now overheats faster, has a slightly reduced rate of fire and blast damage, and increased fall-off damage at distance. Rate of fire decreased from 350 to 330. Heat per bullet increased from 0.13 to 0.14. Heat drop per second decreased from 0.5 to 0.475. Blast damage decreased from 20 to 18. Small changes, but really small changes. But we'll see if it actually makes a difference or not. So I mean, you could definitely do quite a bit with those 30mm cannons. I mean, you could take out multiple people pretty quickly before they can even do anything. So hopefully that helps. Doesn't seem like it will based on the numbers, but hopefully it helps. LCAA hovercraft 40mm GPL grenade launcher, blast damage lowered from 55 to 35. Oh, that's pretty big drop. So I never used the 40mm grenade launcher though, so I don't know how good that was. Anything nerfing the vehicles is a good thing though. The 40mm utility pod upwards firing angle is now easier to use. UBAA Wildcat 57mm cannon removed dispersion. Ammo decreased from 12 to 8. Impact damage decreased from 85 to 75. Blast damage decreased from 70 to 35. Oh, that's pretty big. Blast damage decrease, so that should make a pretty big difference. Even though I never used it. You don't see too many Wildcats out in the open either, so I guess they were just preempting that just in case. Sounds good to me. Gadgets. Frag grenade. Increase the time to detonate a frag grenade from 1.1 seconds to 1.4 seconds after first bounce on a hard collision. Increase damage of frag grenades across game modes to deal 120 damage and guarantee a kill on armored players too. Reduced frag and incendiary grenade max ammo count from 2 to 1. Okay, so you can only carry one at a time then. But frag grenades are a guaranteed kill now. I didn't know they weren't. But I mean, increasing the detonate time is probably not so great though. Because against bots, frag grenades were pretty much useless because they would just run away and it wouldn't do anything to them before it would blow up. So I don't think I got very many kills at all. Even in saturated modes like Breakthrough where all the bots just stand together, they just all scattered and never died to it. So the incendiary grenades were a lot more useful since they explode on impact. But we'll see. I guess players not paying attention can be caught off guard, and it's good that it'll kill armor too, because armor shouldn't prevent a frag grenade death, you know? We'll see. But only having one, I mean, I guess that'll decrease the grenade spam. I didn't really see too much grenade spam, but who knows? Who knows, bros? Proc sensor. Lowered spotting radius from 30mm to 20 meters. Lowered uptime from 30 seconds to 14 seconds. Lowered amount of proc sensor a player can carry and deploy from 2 to 1. So yeah, they nerfed that pretty hard. I mean, I think they nerfed the XP you got from it quite a bit, so I don't think too many people use it all that much anymore. Because they were just using it to farm XP, but basically it's only up for less than half the time. It doesn't spot as far, and you only get one, so you can't reap that XP anyway. Interesting. I mean, I think a problem earlier on was everybody was just spamming them everywhere, and everybody was marked all the time, so suppressors weren't very useful, but now maybe they will be. I don't know. I don't know, man. Battlefield Hazard Zone. Fixed an issue that caused the roaming occupying forces LATV-4 recon to spawn at the wrong times, or not at all. Okay, cool. I never played Hazard Zone, so whatever. Breakthrough. Kaleidoscope. Rooftop capture objective has been removed. Thank you. There are now 2 capture objective at the bottom in BT large and 1 at the bottom in BT small. Orbital rooftop capture objective has been removed. There is now a single capture objective at the bottom in BT large and BT small. Hourglass rooftop capture objective has now been removed. There is now a single capture objective at the bottom in BT large and BT small. Also fixed an issue where players were spawning out of bounds. Well, that's good to see, because Those rooftop capture points literally made absolutely no sense. I mean, 64 players defending with vehicles and everything all called in on a roof. When the only way you can get up is a few elevators and zip lines from other buildings. Yeah, it ain't happening, dude. So that's good to see they removed that. At least they're listening to feedback, but I mean, I don't know how that even got into the game to begin with. Any QA testing would have said this is stupid. But I mean, it looks like we're in the QA testing phase right now. We're doing it for them. And we're paying them to do it. Imagine that. That's big brain plays on EA Dice. Good to see, though. Good to see. Maybe Breakthrough will actually be playable now, because I mean, 3 out of the 7 maps in rotation have a rooftop capture point, so it is very likely that you will get in one of those maps. And Hourglass seems to be like a favored map for some reason, even though it's probably my least favorite map in rotation. You get it quite often. Anyway, moving on. Soldier. Improvements on backpedaling into objects when being in prone position. Fixed a rare issue where players can turn invisible when spawning on a full destroyed vehicle. Oh, so that was what turned you invisible, huh? If you spawn on a destroyed vehicle? Turn you invisible. I don't think I ever got that bug, but I saw quite a few videos of people just running around in the enemy spawn and nobody ever saw them. So the AI could see them, so like a ranger or a sentry gun, but the players, no. So I mean, if you get that bug, you just go ham on the enemy team in their spawn and they don't even know what's happening. It's pretty stupid. Make for some great gameplay videos, but terrible experience for the other team, for sure. And that's the end of the patch notes. This announcement may change as we listen to community feedback and continue developing and evolving our live service and content. We will always strive to keep our community as informed as possible. So yeah, I mean, nothing huge, but some good changes. Overall, a good update, I think. The rooftop capture points being the big one that will make Breakthrough actually a viable mode to play. And then the vehicle nerfs, hopefully those are enough to bring them more in line, because they were definitely wreaking havoc out there. The Bolty especially. You didn't see too many hovercrafts since they nerfed the first time, but the Bolty's everywhere, man. So good to see they nerfed those a bit. Hopefully those are big enough changes. It didn't seem like they were that big of changes besides the Wildcat one. But hopefully it makes a difference, noticeable difference. We will see. And then the grenades, yeah, the prox sensor. I think that was a good change. So, I mean, being spotted on the map all the time is kind of annoying because there's so many ways to be spotted. Prox sensor, recon drone, shooting your gun. And the suppressor is supposed to be a way to stay off the map, but if everybody's got a sensor or a drone up, what's the point, you know? You can't stealth when you're always spotted. Sounds good to me. We'll see though how much of a change it makes. Hopefully it's good enough to hold us over till the new year, because that's it until the new year. Unless something breaks, which is always possible as well. But yeah, thanks for watching yet again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.